Consider this. You could be gifted, goal-driven, and great at what you do, and still don't know that you have ADHD. Why? Because we think ADHD is a hyperactive little boy who can't sit still, not a black female in medicine, which happens to be 3% of U.S. physicians. It was 10 years ago when I found out that I had ADHD when I was doing my residency program at UC Irvine in family medicine. I was watching a 10-year-old boy discuss his habits. He said he lost things all the time. He was always taking forever to get things done. And he was smart, however. As he continued talking, I realized he wasn't talking just about a 10-year-old boy. He was describing 35-year-old me, as you can see. Y'all live experience. So, you know what? This was the first place that I saw a TEDx talk. But I did not just come full circle to say, hi, I'm a doctor with ADHD. It was confirmed in attentive type. I came to change how you see ADHD. Because see, whether you are neurodivergent, which means your brain wiring is different and outside the expected norms, or you're neurotypical, which means your brain wiring is structured the way society wants it to be. This is still for you. I'm going to show you how seeing is freeing because observation isn't passive. It's an active innovation that is able to release power from the ADHD brain. So let's actually just set an establishment of what ADHD is. Attention deficit hyperactivity disorder is a neurodevelopmental condition affecting the frontal lobe of the brain's executive function system. Executive network is a group of neurons responsible for you to get stuff done. It has multiple tasks, including allowing you to plan, organize, prioritize, come back on time when you need to come back on time. It also is responsible for emotional regulation, task initiation, task completion. Does anyone agree that this is a pretty important part of the brain? Absolutely important. And the thing is, in a nutshell, you can just say ADHD is a challenge of self-regulation. And it's more common than you think. There are 15 million Americans that have ADHD as adults. That's about 6% of the population. And when it comes to a college setting, that number can actually go up to 15%. So it's possible there might be a few of you who can relate. And you know what? It's not always obvious. Sometimes it looks like overachievement followed by collapse. Sometimes it looks like me. So for 30 years before my diagnosis, I didn't know what was going on. I looked good on paper, full tuition scholarship for medical school, straight A's, but there was an internal struggle I didn't quite have the words for. For example, tasks that are supposed to be simple for everyone else, like laundry, was staying avoided for weeks. And ask any one of my parents, my room rather stayed in a steady state of looking like an aftermath of a natural disaster. Now you ask me to wash dishes, to me it's equivalent to asking me if I want the death sentence. I know, it's pretty extreme, but it can be that hard. And it's not about intellect, it's not about IQ, it's about regulation. And the key neurobiological molecule responsible for regulation is dopamine. Dopamine is the thing that gets you going, the catalyst, the igniter of the fire. But the thing about dopamine, if you can consider the CEO of the brain being executive function network, dopamine is like the executive assistant. Think about this assistant, and she's kind of picky. He or she is kind of picky. She only is going to respond to things that are urgent, that are new, that are challenging, and that are urgent again. So, but the task is boring, routine, easy, even important. Important. She will just zone out. But you know, the best way that you can call it, or say it rather, is the way ADHD expert Dr. Russell Barkley called it. He said ADHD is not a disorder of knowing what to do, it's a disorder of doing what you know. And the thing is, it's just not anything of our intent, okay? And when I thought about his phrase, I said, you know what? I'm not just laid all the time and scattered. My brain is quantum. Yes, quantum meaning full of overlapping potential, possibility, and power, just waiting to be released. And when I look at myself without shame, one of the things happens. That quantum brain is somewhat like Schrodinger's cat. You've heard it all this night. Schrodinger's cat. That quantum theory, thought theory, which says there's a cat in a box who is both dead and alive until observed. Well, that's how the ADHD brain can be. We can be brilliant and burned out. We can be capable and chaotic. We can have success while struggling. But when I have self-compassion and I look at myself with no shame, wonderful things happen. Wonderful things such as, I'm going to tell you a lens or framework that we put on my capital lenses, seeing is free. A framework that basically helps you to know how to break down and release that power I was talking about. I call it the CAT method. CAT stands for capture, analyze, and transform. So let's break that down a little bit more. Capture means you just state what it is. What is the challenge? Without any judgment. Analyze means that you kind of figure out why. You want to understand why I'm behaving this way. What is it that's causing this? What triggers me? And then finally, T is transform. That's when observation becomes action. And you're able to design a plan that works for your brain and gets things done. Let me give you a more example. A lot of my job is doing documentation, clinical documentation. I had a backlog of notes, capture. And I analyzed and thought that I don't get those notes done because at the end of the day, my brain is tired. And when I'm by myself in isolation, there's no drive to get going. So T, I basically transformed the situation and did what's called body doubling with another doctor who has ADHD. And the presence of our being there in silence, doing our work, that dopamine just kind of fired up. We got the notes done. Seeing is freeing. But there is a way that neurotypicals can actually use this framework to help get along with us. So we can all get along. It's important. And let me tell you how that works. So, a real example for me. A friend invited me to talk at to be a keynote speaker for her on the 29th of March. True story. So the event started at 11. She told me to come at 10. I showed up at 11:45. Not surprised, right? So this is what happened. When I showed up, she was upset. Why? Because she had applied the CAT method. Let me show you how. She said, see, Dr. Clarke is always late. A, how was that affecting her? She said, if she's late, I'm going to be pissed off, and that won't be a good thing. So T, she transformed the situation and said, I'll put her on the schedule to speak at 12. It worked out. I came apologetic. I really am sincerely apologetic. This is not intentional. I promise you. And she was good because it worked out. We were all happy. And you know what? I actually felt seen. I felt appreciated. I felt valued. And it's the best feeling in the world. I felt safe. There's more to it. So the same day that talk took place, which was 29th, TEDxUC Irvine told me I would be a speaker here. I didn't see the email until a week later. Hashtag ADHD. But you know what? I've been out of the box and, out of alignment my whole life, but still in divine alignment. Because I'm actually grateful for the lessons I learned from having ADHD. Number one, it keeps me humble. How can I take care of patients and do a good job and they're going to refer everybody to me and I'm on time and organized? I would think too much of myself. So God was like, oh no, let's show you. So it's ADHD. And it helps me to have a lot of empathy because I get it. I really get it. Finally, it helps me to appreciate more so my strengths that I have. Does that make sense? So here's the thing. Before I was even born, and up until this minute, I feel appreciated because I know my maker and creator always sees me. And forever I'm grateful for that. Being seen is freeing. Does anyone else feel like it's a good thing to be seen? Anybody feel that way? Woo! Yes. Thank you. And you know what? The thing about it is we need to understand that this is not our fault. We didn't ask for this. We didn't know. So as I I said, about 10 years ago, I observed a boy, and he caused me to observe myself, which led to a diagnosis that helped me to observe myself. Last year in October, which is the 10th month of the year, which is ADHD Awareness Month, I saw a cat. Her name was Lady. Now, Lady, let me tell you about Lady. She was kind and sweet and special, just like the man who essentially raised her, my Uncle Ivan. Now, the thing about Lady is, prior to his passing, I met her before he passed. And the thing about it is, I used to be so scared of cats, but somehow something was different. And so Lady represented for me transformation after observation. And my fear became freedom. Sounds good. So Uncle Ivan for me, because of the fact that he could fix things, appliances, cats, cars, he never tried to fix me. So he represented for me observation without judgment. And that's what the ADHD person wants. We want to just be seen. Let me tell you how I think of it in terms of how ADHD is in this world. I feel like we are a couple of oranges in a world full of neurotypical apples. Okay? If you think about it, to eat an apple, you just bite into it, right? Get the juices. But with an orange, you have to peel that layer, that rind off, right? Look at it, get to the juices, right? So that tells you that we're different, but we're still fruitful. Okay? Thank you. We are. So this is my charge. If there's anyone who is an employee here on the verge of firing that employee that's always late, maybe he's an orange. Have some compassion and maybe sit down and use a cat method and formulate a strategy that can turn his struggle into productivity for you. And I want to speak to any medical educators, anyone who teaches medical students or residents. There are oranges among you. There are. And the thing is, you can't expect an orange doctor to perform like an apple doctor. It won't work. However, there is no orange doctor, there's no apple doctor that can perform or take care of patients the same way an orange doctor could take care of an orange patient. There's lots of value. If you sit with that resident who's an orange and figure out a method that will help them get the juices out, they'll flow. They'll really, really flow. I promise you. Think about the orange analogy. Maybe that's why orange is the color for ADHD awareness, right? Maybe, because we're oranges. Or maybe think about orange and carrot. Carrots are an ADHD. Anyway, okay. So here's the thing I'd like to finally say to you, okay? Because this is a love letter to my neurotypical and my neurodivergent friends. Dear ADHD friends, you are the cat's meow. Your potential cannot stay in a box, and it cannot and will not melt. I want you to put on your cat lenses, the ones that help you see all your hidden potential that's waiting to be. Capture your truth. Don't let it hide. Analyze what bothers you and what makes you thrive. Transform what you've noticed, not all but the parts, only the parts that fill what your groove is and works with your heart. Dear neurotypical friends, we don't need your control. We need room for our rhythm and respect for our role. Observe with compassion. Don't be so quick to correct, because true connection comes when you choose to reflect. Now, the cat's out of the box and the bag with power that cannot be outrun. And as you've seen here, late after everyone else has spoken, the cat surely has not had my tongue. I am Dr. Kalaki Clarke, the cat who came back so that you could see that curiosity does not kill the cat, but it opens it out of the box, alive and free, because seeing is freeing.